Welcome. This training covers victims' rights in juvenile cases and how we balance the needs of the victim, the youth, and the community. This version reflects the latest guidance. Our objective is simple: understand victims' rights and the role of the juvenile justice system in supporting those rights. Here's what we're going to talk about. First, the Crime Victims Bill of Rights. Next, the statutes that impact a juvenile counselor's work with victims. And then communication, including clear do's and don'ts for working with victims. Before we get into rights, we need a definition. Under this statute, a victim is a person who has suffered financial, social, psychological, or physical harm as a result of a crime. And when the victim is a minor, the victim also includes the legal guardian of the minor. Now, constitutional rights. Victims have the right to be informed of, present at, and heard at hearings. Victims also have the right to obtain certain information, including the conviction and sentence, criminal history, imprisonment, and future release from physical custody. And victims have the right to refuse an interview with defense counsel. Additional constitutional rights include prompt restitution, the right to obtain a copy of transcripts from court proceedings, and the right to be consulted during plea negotiations in violent felony cases. Victims also have the right to be informed of their rights as soon as practicable.
Next is the Crime Victims Bill of Rights. This statute emphasizes that victims are entitled to fair and impartial treatment in the criminal justice system. This statute also speaks directly to balance. It rejects the idea that a defendant's rights must be superior to all others, and it seeks balanced justice by eliminating unbalanced rules. Now we shift to the statutes that impact juvenile counselors. Taken together, these cover court date setting when a victim's presence is required, the victim's appearance at disposition, and consultation with victims regarding plea negotiations. Another key statute defines information we are required to provide to a victim upon request. That includes the conviction and sentence, criminal history, imprisonment, and future release from physical custody.
Now into juvenile-specific statutes. If requested by the victim, the district attorney or juvenile department must notify the victim in advance of a hearing to amend a petition. Continuing, if requested by the victim, the district attorney or juvenile department must consult with the victim regarding plea negotiations when the petition alleges a violent felony, and the negotiations could lead to an admission from the youth. Next is a statute that requires the right of the victim to be present at proceedings. The victim of any act alleged in a petition may be present at proceedings, and upon request must be informed in advance of proceedings held in open court when the youth will be present. Continuing, upon request, the victim has the right to be notified in advance and be heard at detention or shelter hearings, hearings to review the placement of the youth, and dispositional hearings. This is where the DEC defines critical stages. Critical stages include, but are not limited to, detention or shelter hearings, placement review hearings, conditional release hearings, and transfer hearings. Critical stages continue here. They also include waiver hearings, adjudication and plea hearings, dispositional hearings, review hearings, and probation violation hearings. And critical stages continue again. They include hearings on motions to amend, dismiss, or set aside petitions, orders, or judgments, plus relief from duty to report hearings and expunction hearings. Next is protecting victim information. Upon victim request, the court must order that the victim's address and phone number not be given to the youth. Also, contact with the victim is prohibited. Any pre-adjudication release order must prohibit contact with the victim, directly or indirectly, unless specifically authorized by the court. This statute also addresses threats. If threats or intimidation are reported by the victim, direct or indirect, the district attorney or juvenile department must notify the court. A show cause hearing may be held, and release can be revoked. Next is the effect of summons. When a summons is issued to a youth under a petition, a copy must also be mailed to the victims whose names appear on the petition. Now we move into the victim's rights request form. These rights are not automatic. Victims must request them. Requests can include keeping personal information private, notification of critical stage hearings, and consultation with the district attorney in violent felony cases. There are also additional rights that must be requested. These include DUI-related information sharing, limits on media coverage of sex offense cases, and HIV testing when applicable to the case. Now the communication do's. Attempt foremost to communicate trust, support, and confidence. Reassure victims, listen and validate their experience, be encouraging but realistic about the system, and support accessibility and cultural needs. And the don'ts. Do not be judgmental or blame the victim. Do not avoid the victim. Do not discourage the victim or minimize anxiety or urgency. Avoid becoming one-sided. Resources available to victims may include state resources like the Department of Justice and the Crime Victims Compensation Program. County resources may include a Victims Assistance Program, and those resources can vary by county.
Now we will review some tips and tricks for using the Juvenile Justice Information System database to look up and be familiar with victim information. On this screen, you will see that anytime you have your screen open to your caseload or a list of youth displayed after a SEER, the column furthest to the left is the victim column. This column will show whether or not there is a victim linked with this youth and any of their cases or referrals. When the word yes appears in that column, that means the youth has a victim or victims. If you highlight one of the cases that you wish to look at from the list and then click the red phone icon at the top, this will take you to detailed information about all of the victims listed for that youth's cases, regardless of which referral the victim is connected to. The red phone icon is also sometimes referred to as the bat phone. Once you are in the list of victims connected to this youth's cases, as seen on this slide, you can highlight any victim that you are interested in looking up additional information for. Then click View at the bottom of the screen as the red arrow indicates here. This will then take you to a list of more detailed information for that victim. Here you can see that this detailed list notifications and rights for that victim are shown. All of the contacts that have been made and rights that the victim has indicated will be shown on this screen, including the date and time that the victim advocate worker contacted them, what the contact was for, which could be a victim notification or the victim indicating which rights they are selecting or any other kind of contact with the victim. This page will also show the outcomes of that contact in the subcategory column, as well as notes entered in by the victim advocate who made the contact. Here we are back to the screen where there is a list of victims for the current case that you are looking at and/or the current youth you are looking at. There will always be a question mark icon down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. When you click this icon, it will take you to the Juvenile Justice Information System Help Center for Victim Notification page. This page gives additional help for understanding the victim notification features within the Juvenile Justice Information System. It is important to note that this system does not make any victim notifications. It is where notifications that are made are documented. Additionally, this page offers additional links for support, additional help, reports, policies, forms, and new news. If you scroll down below, there are useful links for additional victim resources about using the victim rights and information features within the Juvenile Justice Information System. Next up, you'll complete the post-test, then the evaluations, and you'll get certificate information. When you're ready, go ahead and move into the post-test.